Hi, this is Kama. Welcome to Kamada City at this ungodly hour. So, what are we going to be talking about at this ungodly hour tonight? Well, I want us to talk about compatibility. How compatible are you and your spouse, you and your wife, you and your husband, you and your girlfriend, you and your boyfriend? How compatible are you? And do you even did you even think about that before you agreed to mate with this person, before you agreed to marry this person, before you agreed to having kids with this person? Did you take into consideration the fact that having different parenting styles, having different religions, having different outlooks on life can tremendously affect how happy you are in that relationship. And if it is a long-term relationship, if it is a marriage, if it is a relationship that produces children, trust me, this can mean the difference between having a happy, prosperous, thriving life and having a miserable um just an existence where you don't look forward to even getting up in the mornings, right? There was a time when in many cultures, maybe not all cultures, but in many cultures, particularly the Eastern cultures, where your spouse was pretty much selected for you. And even if you selected someone who you desired, this person was still had to still be vetted, had to go through a procedure where persons outside of you would assist in making a judgment to see whether this person is compatible with you, knowing full well that love is blind. Love is blind. So there are things that you would not see, especially in the beginning, that someone who doesn't have that those spectacles of affection, intimacy with this person would be able to be objective and see certain things about the person that you're just totally blind towards, right? So we had that vetting process where the families would come together and they would do their version of a background check, right? And they would see what is this person's lineage, what is this person's heritage, what is this person's um, likelihood to prosper or not prosper. They would weigh all of that, right, for you and help you, and sometimes even dictate to you the way to go. Now, we living in the West, that's alien to us, and we reserve the right to choose our spouses, to choose our husband, wife, girlfriend, boyfriend. Right. So I'm asking this question tonight. How compatible are you with your spouse? And is this something that you took into consideration in the early days? Is it something that just crept upon you and you realize that, hey, we're not so compatible after all? Or, hey, we are very compatible even though everybody said, no, there's no way this is going to work, right? Because many times there are persons who they don't think you are compatible for whatever reason, and they might voice this in no uncertain terms, and but you might see something in this person that you click, you know that it's a fit, and other persons can see it, so it can work both ways, right? So let's look at it. Let's look at, you know, is it that birds of a feather flock together, or is it that opposites attract? Clearly, they are both true. These are old adages that they have been around for centuries, right? So clearly, there is truth in both of them, even though they are opposing each other, right? When it comes to relationships, do birds of a feather flock together? Do people who are of similar nature, similar similar inclinations, similar personalities, lifestyle, do they do better together as opposed to persons who don't seem to have that much in common? Do they do better together? Or does it even matter? Because there's the saying that people who have been together for a long, long time, whether they started off as whether they were so similar in the beginning or not, after they spend certain time together, they tend to just start looking like each other, behaving like each other, finishing each other's sentences, becoming identical. There is that also. So maybe it doesn't even matter whether or not you're compatible. If you stick it out and you're both willing to be in it for the long haul, eventually equilibrium will have its way, and you will both become almost the same thing. So it doesn't matter, does it? That's what I want to look at, right? Because there are persons who feel that, and especially I know of men have said this to me. Several men have said it to me. These are men who very quiet, very reserved, and have expressed that, hey, I like girls, or I like women who are loud, maybe even vulgar. I like the ghetto girl, I like the ghetto type girl, the drama queen. And these are men who are very quiet, very soft spoken, some would even say docile, and yet they are expressing that, hey, I am drawn to the kind of girl who maybe even shout at me sometime and go like she might box me down sometime. Yeah, there are men, soft spoken men, timid looking men, who they seem to find some kind of pull in being with loud, aggressive type women. Why is that so? If you are one of those men, why, explain to me, why is it that you are so drawn to this kind of woman who seemed to be the exact opposite to you? I saw a meme the other day, and it said, it was addressing pretty much the same thing. The question was, why is it that these calm, quiet, soft spoken men are often seen with these loud, you know, aggressive women? And the guy said, well, somebody is going to have to tell the waitress that I didn't order this, and it's not going to be me. So he's relying on this, the fact that his girlfriend is outspoken, and you know, she is not afraid to hear her opinion, and she's not afraid to tell the waitress, hey, this is not what he ordered, take it away. He's not going to do that, but he needs it to be done. So he is relying on this person. to do that, right? So then there is this balance then. So persons would argue to say, well, it is better for you to be with someone who is your exact opposite so that there can be balance. Um, if we had two introverts, for example, no, I'm introverted. I can stay I can stay in my house for a week just doing things by myself and I would not feel bored. I would not feel like I need to go outside to talk to anybody or see anybody. I am very comfortable in my own skin, in my own company, and I get joy from that. Right? I could keep myself amused and entertained for a week. I swear I could do it, and it wouldn't be an issue to me. You have other persons who they could not stay in their house for a day without seeing somebody else, without having some outside interaction. Let's say two introverts are in a relationship. What would that be like? The two of them are there. There might be a time where they just both go off into a corner by themselves. I guess they would be perfectly fine with it, but I don't know if do you need some kind of stimulation outside of you being so reserved and you being so quiet. Do you need to have that balance? There's this saying that introverts don't make friends, they are adopted by extroverts. They're adopted by extroverts who like them and take them under their wings, and to some extent it is true. I remember when I was going to high school, I would always gravitate towards this one girl. I would single out one girl, and she would adopt me then. She would have other friends, but I would just have her. And we would go everywhere together. We'd do everything together. So yeah, that's how it is. Whereas the extrovert now can just exist with everybody and they don't really they're not so specific as to what this person needs to be. And so if you had two extroverts, what is that like? These are the things that I wonder about, right? um does somebody need to be the quiet one? Does somebody need to be, as we said, the one who's going to be the bigger person? Let's say you have an argument, two extroverts are at it, or two quarrelsome persons are at it, two dramatic people are at it. Someone needs to be there who is level-headed, who is calm, who is more likely to tone it down, who is more likely to balance things out. What happens when you have two bulls head to head, as we say in Jamaica? Two bull can't rule one pen. That's a saying we have in Jamaica. Two bull can't rule one pen. When two bulls come together, have you ever seen a relationship where the two people were like two bulls and nobody would concede, nobody would back down? They were just constantly at it, at it, at it. How does that relationship work? Right? How does that relationship work? Um, if you are um, the person who, let's say you're the reserved person, um, who speaks for the couple then? Put it that way. Do you need to have somebody who is not so reserved, who would be kind of like the spokesperson for the couple? When we think about things that divide people, traditionally, things that divide us, like religion, politics, sex, um, how we spend money, how we raise children. When you think of these things, can two people exist together, make it work, and build a family and have a long-term relationship if these things are if they're at disparity as it regards these things? So, for example, let's talk about politics, for example, right? So, you might have a person who is a die-hard, like in the case of Jamaica, let's say, one is a die-hard PMP, one is a die-hard JLP. You know that in our Jamaican culture, for many, many years, for at least half a century, we have been at odds with each other. It has been very partisan. JLP, PMP, JLP, PMP. Can you have a relationship where one is a JLP and one is a PMP? How would that work? Or even the American setting. One is pro Trump, one is anti Trump. Could that work? I remember Dr. Ben Yakanan, he, as well, for most persons who know, Dr. Ben was more, he was not, well, he was born in the Jewish tradition, but he cut himself from that. And then he was not so religious, but he was more into Egyptology, right? Studying the spiritual tenets of ancient Egypt. So I don't think Dr. Ben officially had a religion, right? Certainly not any of the Western religions. But he was married for over half a century to a woman who was a Catholic, right? And a lot of persons could not understand how Dr. Ben, because when he told us, Dr. Ben would do speeches and so on, and when Dr. Ben would come out and say, "Hey, my wife is a Catholic." As a matter of fact, she used to be a nun before they were married. She used to be a nun in the Catholic Church. She was still a Catholic after they got married. Obviously, no longer a nun, but she was a Catholic, I believe, up until her passing. And Dr. Ben was this historian who was flatly against the Catholic Church and what Christianity had done to blacks, what Roman Catholicism had done to black people throughout history. He was staunchly against them. How was he able to bring himself to the point where he could live with someone who was a practicing Catholic and be together? Dr. Ben professed his love for his wife constantly. They had 12 children together. They were together for decades, literally until death did they part, right? So in order for that to happen, you have to have a level of maturity. You have to have a level of being able to compromise, being able to concede to someone else, being able to have good communication. So it can work. You can be with someone who is totally opposite to you, have totally different views as it relates to the things that people are always at each other about: religion, politics, lifestyle, stuff like that. But is there a point at which you can't do that? So, for example, look at child rearing. There's bound to be, in my mind, I'm thinking there's bound to be a kind of conflict that would not be able to be resolved if you are both at odds when it comes to child rearing. There's a saying that in Jamaica we have a saying, pitney enough to grow a 2 yard, right? Or pitney will grow a 2 yard, no grow good. What we mean by that is when the parents separate and then you have the child back and forth from the two homes, the 2 yard them. there's usually a rift that occurs, and the child, being a child, learns how to manipulate the situation. What they can't get from one parent and they can get it from the other, they work that to their advantage, right? The parent who is less strict, they might gravitate to that parent what they know they can get away with. They'll get away with it over this house, and when they come over the next house they know how they have to conform to that, but it causes something in the child that negatively affects the growth and development of that child. You might have one parent who is insisting on the child's education. The child must do homework, the child must study, the child must, be involved in XYZ. And then the other parent might feel that this is too much pressure for the child. Why you enrolling him in all of this and that? Why you want the child to sit down and study book and him already at school, him just come from school, let him go and play. Why the child need to be getting so much homework? Why the child need to be up this hour of the night doing whatever? That definitely can cause conflict. Suppose you have a person, a parent who strongly believes in the child being fully immunized, and the other parent strongly believes in the child in bypassing all immunization because that parent feels that this would threaten the health of the child. So one parent might feel that this is for the best in terms of the child's health, and the other parent would feel that it is for the worse in terms of the child's health. How do you reconcile that kind of thing? So these are things that, especially when it relates to child rearing, right? So I'm focusing on that because it can cause some serious damage to children if the mother is tugging that way, the father is tugging that way, mommy tugging this way, daddy tugging this way. These things can very much affect children. It's all well and good when we have two adults alone and you decide that, all right, we don't see eye to eye on this, but we can coexist. We can be amicable, we can agree to disagree, and we can still make it work. That's different from when you have kids now involved and decisions have to be made, and you can't have it both ways. It's either this or that. So what do you do in that situation? What do you do when it comes to diet? Can two persons, well, I know it can be done because I have done it, where one person is a vegetarian or a vegan or a pescatarian, and the other person is a full-fledged die-hard meat eater. I have done that for a little while. Um, for me personally, it didn't work out, and I cannot stand. I could not have meat being cooked in my pots. I couldn't know that. Are you going to be in my kitchen cooking chicken, cooking beef, cooking pork, cooking the? No way. Not gonna happen. And as I said, it was that didn't work out for me. And I think most vegans would feel the same. I mean, if you have certain views on diet and health, you're gonna feel a kind of way to know that your partner is eating the very things that you think are detrimental to the body. I don't know, but for me, I don't think. Huh, I do consume fish, but I don't cook a lot of fish at my home. I don't eat a lot of fish, and I don't cook a lot of fish at my home. Once in a blue moon, But just the thought of in my pots, chicken and beef. Oh no no no! And yet you have people who do it. You have people who are. My grandma didn't eat much meat. She preferred her kalaloo or cabbage or pak chow and so on. But my grandmother cooked every day. She cooked meat for everybody else in the family. She was the main cook, and she would cook everything, and then she'd share what who must get, and then she have her pot different with her steamed kalaloo or cabbage, her beans. That's what she ate, right? So yeah, it can be done, but just for me, mm-mm. I don't want. I don't like even to smell. Sometimes I'm on the road and you have the people jerking chicken, jerking pork. I don't like to even smell it. I don't even like the smell of it, let alone to know that it's being cooked in my kitchen, right? So that for me is a breaking point. That's a deal breaker. Um, but there are other things that I can compromise on, right? I'm more of a homebody. You have some people who are just homebodies. I will go out. I don't mind going out, but my tendency is to just stay in, maybe watch some movies, maybe watch some documentaries, read a book, do some research, do some work. I'm a homebody, but I could live with someone who is outgoing, and I might go out with the person sometimes, or if the person wants to go out on his own, I think that could work, right? So there are things that you can compromise on, and then there are other things you just can't compromise on, right? So what are the things? Let me know. What are some things that you would say, all right, for this particular thing, yes, I can live with that person. I could do that. And then for this particular thing, no, I could not. I could not do that. It will be too much for me. You have persons who are very educated and their spouse is not so educated or far less educated. How do you work with that? Because sometimes it gets in the way, like if you're someone who is very educated and you move around other people who are very educated, and you might, let's say you attend a function, right? You'd want to introduce your spouse to these people, but at the back of your mind you might be conscious of, you know what will my colleagues say? Will my spouse embarrass herself or embarrass himself in this company? Will she use the right words? Will he say something? You know, as well as you have persons who don't care. They're just saying, this is my partner. Yes, she is not as educated as I am because she didn't have the opportunities that I had, or she wasn't able to capitalize on the opportunities as I was able. But this is the person I'm with, and you're going to respect the person I'm with. You have some persons who are very educated, but they are not street smart. And so you can have that balance. Maybe the one who is not so book educated is very street smart and would be very helpful, very useful in a more practical sense, right? Outside of academia. So the book education is not the only kind of education that is useful in this world, and sometimes the book education is of no use to you depending on the situation that you are in. And the street smart will actually save your life. So, there are persons who are able to come to terms with that and say, hey, I'm not going to allow social class. I'm not going to allow what other people are going to say about my spouse to stop me from being happy with this person, right? But these things take maturity because pressure, peer pressure. And when we talk about peer pressure, it's not just teenagers, your peers, your colleagues, your co workers, your family members. What are they going to say? How about age? That's another matter that brings up the question of compatibility. We are more accepting of there being a big gap, a big age difference when the man is older. We're more accepting of that. We're not so accepting of when the woman is older, even by not a lot. We're more accepting if the man is even 20 years older than we would if the woman is 5 years older. That's the disparity between our level of acceptability when it comes to the age gap between spouses. Why is this so? Right? So there's something that again, you, the individual who is involved in the relationship, the individuals who are involved, have to have a level of maturity and self-esteem, and being able to say, to hell with the world, this is a person I have chosen. Yes, there is a difference, but we are able to work beyond that difference, right? It boils down to that, because peer pressure is not just teenagers telling you let's go smoke or let's go party or let's go get drunk and drive down the road. Peer pressure comes from your colleagues at work. It come from your friends, no matter what age you are, your peers, those in your circle. They put pressure on you to conform to the group, and you have to have a certain level of maturity and independence to go against that, and you have to stand up for your spouse if this is the person that you have chosen. All right all right let's look at, there are other things, and there are lots of other things that would make people incompatible. Let's say one person is a spendthrift. They just can't keep money. They don't know how to manage money. They just have to spend, 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 spend. They're always looking for a sale. They're always thinking they're going to be saving by buying all of these things because they're on sale. They cannot keep their money intact. Would that person need someone who is more frugal, who is more responsible with the spending, and will be able to help them to manage it? Suppose two spendthrifts get together, two people who can't control their spending power. The whole of the family budget is down the drain. If there is nobody there to say, hey, it's too much, we're doing too much here, let's cut back here, let's do this. Um, Somebody has to have that sobriety to put certain checks and balances in place, right? So in that case, it will be a good thing then for that person to be there. And if you're both very frugal or to the point of being miserly, that cannot be a good deal either, because it's like that's a relationship of to me, I don't like people who are too frugal. I like persons who understand that there must be a flow, ebb and flow. You have to let it go for it to come back abundantly. I like people with that mindset, and I'm not very comfortable around people who are always pinching and watching the penny. And I don't do well around people like that, right? I think you should freely give, freely receive when it comes to money. You spend on what you're not going to overspend. You're not going to um, buy things that you know you can't afford, but at the same time you allow yourself certain luxuries because you have worked for it, you have earned it, you deserve it. You should enjoy your money, and you should let the money go, and it's that so that it can flow through your life. You don't hoard it. Hoarding it is not going to allow it to flow. So those are the kind of things, right? Those are the kind of things that, do we even consider them when we're thinking about who to marry or who to shack up with? Is it just the feeling in your tummy, the feeling in your heart? Is that all we go by? And then in the middle of it, we realize that this person maybe not so compatible with me. I wanted to, when I was thinking about this topic, a song came into my head, and I said, hey, this song is just a perfect fit for the topic. And I remember the first time I heard this song, it really caught my ear. And I said, hey, this guy is saying something really worth listening to, right? He's making a lot of sense. So the song name No Compatible. And it says it's a song by Andrew Blocks, and I think it was sung by Boogle. That's the information I see here. I don't know how you pronounce his name, Boogle or Bogle, I don't know. Not really familiar with his name, but I'm very familiar with the song, right? So I'm just gonna read the lyrics of the song. I'm tempted to DJ the lyrics, but I'm gonna spare you. For those of you who know the song, you can sing along. So it says, you want go easy, but me want go hard. You want pretty car, me want yard, right? So she want go easy. This is a guy singing, right? So he's saying she want to go easy, him want to go hard. So he's talking about his drive, his motivation. He's a hustler, he's a go-getter when it comes to achieving things. But she's not so much. She'd more want to wait for things to come to fall into her lap, right? So, but she want pretty care, so she want the things. She just don't want to work for the things. Him want stay in yard. All right. She said, just want shop, but you are gonna lose. Me want furniture, you want shoes. Say here the difference coming out here. What are the things he's aiming for? What are the things she loves and is aiming for? She wants to buy shoes and clothes and fancy stuff. He wants to invest in furniture, more practical things. So the chorus or the refrain, baby mother there with you, but guess what? It's not worth it. So she in Jamaica, when we said there with you, we mean be in a relationship with you. So he's saying I would be in a relationship with you, but it's not worth it because me know say it wouldn't help me. So he's saying I know it would not be helpful to me to be in a relationship with you. You want hype up, me want lay back. You want loud up, me don't play that. So she's into the hype, she's into the limelight. He's more laid back. So for him, that's a no no. But like we said, for other men, that would be a go go. Right? There are men who like women like this, who like women who are loud and aggressive and might even want to slap them. You have men who There are men who like women like this, who would want women who want to fight them and up in their face, that turn on the man. You have some man like that. So this guy is saying, no, I'm gonna play that. I don't play that. You want load up for me. You want up in on my face and loud up and up in other people and I don't play that. All right, so the next verse it says, um, oh, hold on. It says a girl mother there with you, but guess what? It not worth it. Because me know say it wouldn't help me. You want be star, but me want observer. Me want soul food, you want burger. All right, so that's now they're talking about the diet, as I mentioned. When him says star and observer, so for those who don't know, in Jamaica we have um, several newspapers. One of them is the Star, printed by the Gleaner Company, and another is the Observer newspaper, printed by another company. So I guess he's referring the Star kind of more have more tabloid stuff, whereas I'm guessing what he means Observer will be more of a more sober newspaper. I'm thinking that's what he means, right? No make sense we try, me not comfortable. And to how me see things, we not compatible. This wouldn't work out because me selective and we have different objective, right? So he's saying it doesn't make any sense that we try because I'm not comfortable. And the way that I see things, we are not compatible. It wouldn't work out because I am very selective and clearly we have different objectives. So he's being honest with this girl. A lot of men would not be saying these things, and a lot of men would just be, they would know it in their head that, hey, I'm not compatible with this girl, but I'm still going to stay with her and get what I can get, have access to her body, and Ray, even though knowing that this is not the girl who I intend to build a future with, this is definitely not the girl who I want to have my children and raise my children, but I am willing to stay with her, have access to her, have some fun with her, maybe until I am ready to find a girl that I really want, who is really compatible with me. You have a lot of men who do that. Yeah, of course, you have women who do it too, right? It's convenient, they have nothing to lose, and so they stay until it's time for them to leave. But this guy is saying, you know what, I wouldn't even bother to try because I see that it's not going to work. All right. So again, he said, "You want soul food, me want soul food. You want burger." So here he's saying, "All right, our diets are too different. We have to go be cooking two different pots every night, every day in the house. You have to go cook. As a matter of fact, she not going to cook. She's gonna want him to go to buy a burger. She going to feed on burgers." And of course, we know the fast food, going out to fast food every day, every minute you want burger, you want pizza, you want this, you want that. It's more costly than if you, and less nutritious, more costly in the long term too because of the damage that you're doing to your system, as opposed to getting some produce, getting some ground provisions, getting some vegetables, which is what he is referring to here, soul food. Well, I'm hoping that's what he's referring to. Although a lot of times in the black community, soul food is not much different or much better than the fast food. Because in the black community, truth be told, soul food is very oily, full of carbs, very salty, very sweet. Soul food cause a lot of damage in the black community. But I think what he means by soul food is something different. Food that literally feeds his soul. I'm thinking more of a natural kind of food. Right? She want burger, she want pizza, she want nuggets. That's the lifestyle. So he's saying, boy, if I take up this girl, this is what I'm gonna have to maintain. Every day she going on, babes, bring me some KFC, babes, bring me some Burger King, babes, stop at McDonald's, babes, order three pizza. And he's not with that. So he say, don't make sense me try because I'm not comfortable and I realize we're not compatible. Alright? Because he's saying he's very selective and they have different objectives. Just what we're talking about. If you're with someone who doesn't seem to have any ambition and you are driven, you're very ambitious, you're a go-getter, how do you balance that person? You're gonna feel like the person is dragging you back. Suppose you're with someone who is not just the education but don't have the same finances as you, because you cannot have an education but you find a way to make it and you have the money. So it's not education we're talking about here. But suppose you are with someone and they are not earning anywhere near what you are earning. And let's say you're someone who you love to travel, you love to go to resorts, you love to go to events, you love to go to exotic places, and this person can't keep up with you in terms of financing themselves to go to the place. Is it that you're always going to be the one financing the two of you, or you're just going to have to decide not to go, even though you can afford to take yourself? You can't always afford to take the person, but the person can't afford to take themselves. So what do you do? Do you go on your own? Do you kind of put your own desires aside for the sake of the other person, for not, though you don't want the person to feel bad or to feel inferior, but it would mean you putting your own desires aside even though you can afford to go on your own. What do you do in that case? You have your money, you want to travel, and the other person can't afford to go, might not even have the visa to go to certain places because they were turned down, they weren't deemed eligible to even get the visa to go to the place where you want to go. What do you do in situations like that? Because I've looked at a couple dating shows. For example, Kendra G. I watch Kendra G when I have the time, and you might have women come on, and these women are, they have established themselves, they have the money, and sometimes they're stipulating, hey, this guy must earn a certain money, not necessarily that he has to give me XYZ, but just that he has to be able to fund himself to keep up with me. That's what they're saying. When I say we're gonna fly out next week, he should be able to be ready with me to afford the destination, to afford the ticket, to afford the hotel, to afford the whatever, and fly first class with me if I'm flying. So basically they're saying he must be able to keep up, because what if he can't keep up? Like I said, she going to have to fund it, or she going to have to restrict her own desires. Even though she work for her money, she have her things, she going to have to quell that, right? All right, let me wrap up this song. So he's saying, um, with we have different objective. We're destined to strive. Well, I must say, him destined to strive, but you will slow me drive, right? So he wants to strive or thrive, but she would slow down his drive. You have no adrenaline. Oh my goodness. He's saying you don't have no adrenaline. And me afraid, me if you avoid. Oh my goodness. The man said the girl don't have no adrenaline. That means she don't have anything pushing her. He's a go getter, right? Pumped up on adrenaline, ready to go. And she don't have none. She just there trying on shoes and clothes, right? So I say she should avoid him because you might be educated, but you're not wise. Your eyes on the hype, but mine on the prize. It's a nice song. It's a nice song. It's a nice song, right? I like the song from the first time I hear it. You want what else? How this going on? You want gain and you're not trying. So you're saying you want to gain, but you're not willing to try. And every year, all you do, uh, I want pa 80. I don't know that part is. Me not get that part. Then. Every year, all you do, I wait for 80. Me not get that part. You think you are playing, but babes, you're not fly. That man, your face still. What a face the blouse and skirt. The man say, you think you are playing, but babes, you're not fly. Me can't believe how you act try. Hey, you have some face the man, you know. Alright, and then him go back on to say no. That's why you end up with a bag. Oh, that's why you end up with a bag of man a wine you. Cause you are wait upon them for mine you. Trying out. Oh, it's hard for me to say. Trying to last. Cause I wanted to face the money. Trying to last cause me not go find you. Swear me I get me can't swear me I give a damn the goal line the goal. Me get it. Him say basically my say him a business if a goal line or yeah, me get that part. So he's saying, alright, me translate. That man a face whoever write that song is a face to little blouse and skirt. Face to little blouse and skirt, right? That song here. So I could go back. The man said, she should be trying about Alaska, him not find her, you know. She have a bag of man a wine her. That means so she's open to a lot of men because she's all about the limelight, all about the hype, right? But in that and no matter how she glitter up and goal up, he's seeing beyond that. He's seeing that she doesn't have the same values that he has. So, make no sense she go last cause him not find. Or what the other part did say? Um yeah, wait upon them for mine, Look here, the man here too faced here, man. Me can't take the feistiness right So, we can't take the feistiness. But I get what he's saying. I like the song. The man is being upfront and saying we're not compatible. And we need to be honest with ourselves and honest with each other. If you're with someone and you see that, boy, this no, we're not really, it's not going to work. We're not compatible. Like I said, as we've been discussing, you have certain things that you can compromise on. Even the things that traditionally people would say deal breaker, right? The traditional deal breakers, the politics, religion, lifestyle, even sexual orientation, we can throw into that. And even the one where me say always stick out for me, the parenting strategies, your approach to parenthood, even that one, if you really be sober and sit, and even that one you can work out. But it takes maturity, it takes communication, and you must be willing to compromise, right? And I've seen relationships where the two people were just like the two exact opposite. One quiet, one chatty chatty. One like stay home, one live a road. One love to exercise and always on the road jogging, and the other one they never see them put on one crepe, so them go run go nowhere. But they find a way to make it work. Or the things that they do have in common are so great and so binding that it overpower the other things, right? So it definitely can work, but it's up to you. And you also have to be willing to block out the naysayers and those who are going to tell you that um, it can't work, it's not gonna work. Because there's a whole heap of song people sing about, babe, here we are, and they say we wouldn't make it. Huh? Look, where all the song go? Looks like we made it. Remember the song there? And everybody did that say those two never gonna work, never gonna work. And here we are. You have a whole heap of song like that where people are testifying that hey, our love stood the test of time, even though people run them bad mouth pan we and then goat mouth pan we, and we still found a way to make it work. So it can work. You can be with someone who is completely opposite to you, and you can be with someone who the two wanna make out of the same cloth, two wanna cut out of the same cloth, the exact same piece of cloth, and it can work, right? It's all up to you. It's all up to you. All right, so join me again tomorrow night as we talk about something else. So this is Kama signing out, right? I hope you have a good night, get some rest. And if you're not ready to go to bed yet, I hope you're up doing something constructive, thinking about something. Even if you're just relaxing, relax with some constructive. Okay? See you tomorrow.